Hello, hi, my name is Faith. 3 years ago, I was living in Kwetu, and I'm so glad for Agatha. Right now, I own units in Kwetu. And together, the interview Elvis and Agatha did the last time, they were talking about my question is mainly on VOCA. They were talking about the units on VOCA, and they were a bit of clarifying that you don't own like nyumba VOCA, you just own shares and units. So my question is, right now I am 23, and I am so lucky that I live with my parents at the moment. But maybe 5 or a few years down the line, I will want to move out of that space. And so the question is there a platform, is there a way that VOCA can diversify, is planning to diversify so that if I have maybe 1 million worth of shares by the end of the time I'm planning to move out, I can maybe own my own personal unit, a household unit, not just shares, so that I think the biggest worries of Kenyans ni nitalipaje rent. Even if you lose your job today, you're just like rent is the first thought. So to ease that worry of how do I pay my own rent, maybe there can be something that can bridge that gap.
Okay. I don't think VOCA will be solving for that your issue, but you can use your units, obviously, sell them and put them as a deposit for the house you want to buy or the unit you want to buy. But home ownership in Kenya. Okay, let's put it this way: home ownership in Nairobi, it's cheaper to rent than to own. I don't know if you know that.
Thank you for that information.
It's easy. It's cheaper to rent than to own in Nairobi. You struggle with that. It's cheaper to rent than to own. Do you want me to explain why?
Yes, please.
So if you buy a house of 5 million, okay, let's maybe use this. Yeah. So it's okay. Let's use 10 million because it's an easier number to work with. Do you know how much it would cost to rent that house of 5 million in Nairobi? A 10 million house in Nairobi, how much do you think it rents for? Doesn't really, location kidogo, but then really, the maths works the same way. So let me help you calculate it. The average rental yield or rather the average yield of a house in Kenya, in Nairobi, is like around 5%. So what's 5% of 10 million? It's 500,000 divided by 12. So that's the rent of that house. The rent of that house is about 40,000. Now, if you had the same 5 million, how much is money markets paying you? 14% of 5 million is how much? You guys can help me there. It's about 1.3 million. 13% of 10 million. So aren't you better putting your 500, what 10 million shillings into that fund? You earn 1.3 and you pay rent of 500,000. Yeah. The reason why it's different in America or in England or those markets, Australia, is this: that the yield of a house is much higher than the cost of debt. Okay. Now people don't do those numbers. Yeah, you just go and see people own. Even the World Bank, it took them a long time to start understanding what the problem is. Did you hear? The yield of the house is higher than the loan. So that 10 million house, if it was in America, you would buy it with a loan that is costing 3% or even 2%. So what's 2% of 10 million? It's 200,000. But renting the same house is 500,000. So why would you rent it? Wouldn't you rather take a loan and own it? That's the maths of home ownership. It's just that, and that's why Kenya has very few mortgages. And they won't move. I don't want to be hard, but they won't move that much because it's a structural problem. What we call, that's a financial structural problem where the yield, so unless the loans come below 5%, it won't make sense for most people. Now, most people don't know how to do that maths, but that's why they don't take those mortgages. They say mortgage is expensive, but they can't tell you why. They know intrinsically in their head that hiki too, but obviously if you work for a bank and you're able to access a mortgage at 5% or 6%, then maybe it starts to make sense.